So today we're out and about a Vincent Black Knight. Now, it's a very rare beast indeed. They only produced about 200 fully enclosed Vincents, some which were princes and some were knights, and so it's arguably one of the rarest Vincents ever produced, certainly in the twins anyway. Really interesting machine this, because they tried to modernise the Vincent and they did some very interesting sort of things which were quite advanced. The fully enclosed part of the bike isn't for streamlining, but purely for keeping the rider dry. And the idea was you'd be able to ride to work in your suit and not have to put on motorcycle gear and things. And so it's about keeping the rider clean and dry. They also found that it actually cooled the rear cylinder more effectively, actually worked better as a bike. But some lovely interesting features on this and things that make it a much more usable Vincent than the earlier ones. This has got Lucas ignition as standard, as opposed to the sort of magneto that was fitted on the earlier bikes. So with the points and coil ignition running off the battery, it actually makes it a much easier bike to start than earlier bikes. And you know, this as long as there's charge in the battery, this goes first or second kick very easily compared to other Vincents that I've started in the past. Something else I really quite like is this pull-on centre stand. This, you know, a Vincent is a big heavy bike, and this allows you to easily put the bike on and off the stand. In fact, if I come around and demonstrate it now, you grab hold of the lever here, roll it forward, bike's off the stand, pull the lever backwards, bike's on the stand. And so for a big machine, it makes it much easier by using this big lever here, working down onto the centre stand, and just allowing you to pick it up. So there's some quite clever modern features. And it's a very sort of interesting machine. Yes, it divides opinion on the styling department. You know, it's very much a Marmite bike. You either love it or hate it. Also, I've heard people say that only its mother could love it. But you know, it's interesting and it's unusual, and it's a very usable machine. This will crack along at modern speeds, 70-80 miles an hour, all day long. Good protection off the screen. Yes, the brakes aren't brilliant, the chassis is not brilliant, but it is a sort of a 50s machine, so you have to expect that from it. But the engine, as ever with a Vincent, is superb. You know, they just thunder along, and they are lovely things. I'll take the panels off so you can kind of see the engine, the condition of it. Obviously, this is a bike we've got for sale as usual. It was restored a little while ago, so it's quite nice because it's got a little bit of patina on it. And you know, it's old, but it's in superb condition, but it doesn't look like it's just brand new. And so I kind of like the look and the feel of this bike. Certainly mechanically, it's beautifully put together, so it's a lovely machine to ride. Okay, so here we are with the panels off, and you can see some of the things I talked about earlier. Obviously there's monoblock carburetors on this as well, being a later bike. And you see the big coil there from the Lucas points and coil ignition system. This is quite nice, this motor, obviously, because it's lived its life fully enclosed, and it looks like it's done very little mileage from new. The whole of the engine's in really superb condition. It's not knocked about. Normally you see these sort of caps and the corners are knocked off them where people haven't opened them with a proper spanner and things like that. And this is all in really nice condition. None of the fins are damaged. Everything's really nice and in tip-top order. Chrome on the rims is lovely, everything that you'd hope. Even nice touches on this bike, which I particularly like. When it was restored, they've painted in the numbers on the number plate, old style, instead of using stick-on vinyl like most people tend to do these days. And again, you know, no fin damage, no issues, no big oil leaks, no problems. It's just you know, it's a lovely machine in lovely order, and rides really well. A lot of these bikes obviously lost their panels and things over the time. People converted them to look like the sort of naked machines, which everybody sort of prefers the look of. So it's nice to see this one completely original with all its bits and bobs on. Another interesting feature of this, and I can't do it because I've not got a big enough spanner, but you slacken off these two nuts here, and this whole back end lifts up like a boot lid to allow you to take the back end, the back wheel out, things like that. It pivots on this point here. Up on the dash, kind of as you'd expect, the chronometric and amps and bits. You've got your switch gear under the side there, decompressor, and your air corrector levers there. And so it's just, it's a really interesting, different machine where they tried to sort of modernise the British bike into almost like an early scooter or something that was more convenient for the commuter, for the modern professional at the time. And it's just lovely to see one out and about. And as always, it's kind of a privilege to ride a Vincent. They do feel fantastic. The motor is, even by today's standards, quite incredible. Very torquey, very smooth, lovely machine.